In this lesson, I'd like to take a closer look at links used specifically for navigation menus. You can put together your menu links however you like, but over the years some conventions have been established for the section of our pages that are used specifically for navigating. The first thing most developers do to set these links apart from the content is to group them together using a list structure. Here in our document, we have an unordered list set up here just for that purpose. I'll go back to the document itself, and notice that we don't have any links currently set up on these. So let's take care of that first. I'm going to link these to the Other Pages folder, where we have 3 linked page documents. And since we already set one up here, I can go ahead and copy it and paste it inside of our list items so we can set up the links. I'll set the second one to page 2, and the third one to page 3, and of course I want to close all 3 of those tags. Now that our links are set up, I'll add in one more grouping tag that's new to HTML5. Up here, before the list starts, I'll add in a nav tag. And, like usual, I'll close it at the bottom of the list. The nav tag is one of our special new semantic tags. Like section, article, and aside, it clearly marks this area for navigation links and not for content. This is especially useful for search engines since it helps to make sure that the content has more importance when placing the site in the correct search listing. But it can also help other devices, like screen readers, find the navigational parts of the page and use it correctly. Now that we have our list of links, we want to set up styles for it so that it looks more like a menu and less like a list of items. The first thing I want to do is remove the bullet symbols from the list. To make sure that other lists on the page aren't affected, I'll start out the rule with the nav tag, and then after a space I'll add the UL tag. Now this selector will only find unordered lists inside the nav tag, and it'll leave the rest of the unordered lists alone. Here we can set up our list style type property, and to remove those symbols I'll set it to none. Now let me save our change and see what we've got so far. I'll go over to the browser, and we'll refresh, and now you can see our links look a little bit better. We've got the rollover color still kicking in because remember, it's an A tag, and we can see that some of them are normal and some of them are visited at this point. But it still doesn't look quite like a menu. So let's go back over to our document, and we'll add a couple more style rules. The first thing I want to do is control how the list items are actually displayed. Now once again, I only want my nav items to be affected. So I'll type in nav to start with, and this time I'll use the LI tag to target the list items directly. For this, we want to use the display property because it changes how the items are rendered on the page. For the value, I'll type inline. And basically what that'll do is it'll make our list items appear next to each other instead of all stacked up. Now the other thing I'd like to do is change the way our menu links look. So once again, I'll add a new style rule, and for the selector, I'll start out with the nav tag. And this time, I want to change the A tag. Now since we have a link and a visited A tag addressed up here at the top, I want to make sure that my style overrides both of those. So I'll set up my A tag selector to specifically target the link state, and since in our menu we don't want to show visited links, I'll use a comma, and I'll create a second selector, nav A visited. Now my rule will create a single style that'll override both of the normal link styles we created earlier. For this one, I want to change a slightly different property than we used before. In HTML5, all of our links that show blocks of text have a background color that we can change too. So for this one, I'm going to use the property background-color. And to start with, I'll just change it to red. Now that just happens to be the same color as the text in our other links. So let's also change the color property as well. I'll just set the value to white so it shows up nice against the red background. And that'll make our menu items look a little bit more like buttons instead of normal links. To emphasize this button look, let's also go ahead and we'll change the property on the hover links as well. We'll just create one more rule, Again, we'll start out with the nav tag to make sure we're only targeting the links inside of our navigation section. I'll use the A tag, and this time I'll use a colon and the hover state. I don't want to change the color of the text, I want to change the color of the background. So once again, we'll use our background color property, and this time I'll set it to blue. Now we've made a lot of changes to our navigation links. Let's save our document, and I'll go back out to the browser and refresh. Now all of our navigation links are in a nice row. They have a button-like property with the background and the white text, and when I roll over them, we can see the hover changing the color of that background to blue. Well, now that we've finished all of our lessons on links, let's go back to our website project in the next lesson, and we'll see how we can apply all this to our site.